da 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 da.
All right, we're back with our second panel for Artists in the Afternoon. Breathe the Right, Passion, and Purpose. Sitting to my left, we have none other than Adam McMath, who is the President and Executive Director of the Black Alphabet, not-for-profit organization. We have critically acclaimed author, poet, spoken word artist, professor, activist, Tim M. West. We also have founder and editor of Black Wall Street Times, Nehemiah Frank, and last but certainly not least, founding of Living Life Foundation, Jordan Live. Jordan Live. Awesome. Let's give them a hand. My first question is for Nehemiah. Now, in 1921, something horrific happened in this country where the government turned against its own citizens and literally annihilated a thriving black community in Tulsa, Oklahoma that we know today as Black Wall Street. Nehemiah, there's some personal as well as professional ties there. Would you kind of tell us your story and how the two are related?
Yeah, so of course I named my publication after my community, and it was Booker T. Washington who actually gave Greenwood, the name of the community, the name Black Wall Street. My family, they had been living there before the massacre. They survived the massacre, and they stayed. And it took me a long time to figure out, like, why would you stay after, these people do this horrible thing to your community? Like, they didn't just take out a street, they took out an entire community, right? There was nothing left but the basement of a church in Tulsa at the time. And then, of course, the massacre of 300 black people, many of them dumped into mass graves around the city. But I wanted to pay homage to my community, the excellence, the black excellence that was Black Wall Street. And so that was the reason why I named my publication the Black Wall Street Times.
Awesome. And unfortunately, in American history, that story is all too familiar. All we have to do is go around the country and pick spots, and there's similar stories of thriving black communities that were annihilated by mobs. We don't even have to go very far, maybe a little bit 50 miles north here. We call it Lake Lanier, but underneath Lake Lanier is a town called Oscarville, where the same thing happened. So, I don't take it lightly for those of us who live in and around Georgia. When folk all of a sudden go missing and drowning in Lake Lanier, perhaps that energy under there of some angry ancestors may be taking some people under. So I'm just saying. But we laud you for what you've done and paying homage to that lost community. So tell us, what is the Wall Street?
Yeah, so the Black Wall Street Times, it is a multimedia platform. The majority of the people that work at the Black Wall Street Times are writers, but we also do video storytelling. Sometimes we hold events such as this one. But it's just, the focus is access being the new civil right. People shouldn't have to hit a paywall, especially if you're coming from a community that has been historically disenfranchised. They shouldn't run into a paywall to get critical information that could help them with their health, or tell them about a certain school in their neighborhood, or just keep them informed with local politics.
So tell me what you mean by a paywall.
Okay, so I'm sure people have hit a paywall, right? Like you're searching for some news. You want to go to the New York Times, or perhaps a local news publication. Ours being the Tulsa World, which actually came from the Tulsa Tribune, which was the start of the massacre. That's a whole other story. But you're hitting this paywall, and if you don't have the funds, you're not in the know.
Wow.
And people should be in the know, and that's, our slogan is access is the new civil right at the Black Western Times.
Wow, that's powerful. So first of all, we're in a day and time where there's been an overt attempt to rewrite or whitewash history. Now, what access that I can get to the history, I gotta pay for.
Yeah, last week in Tulsa, we've been having bomb threats at our local school district over woke propaganda. People are saying that the librarians at the schools are, feeding this woke ideology to the students. And so, a lot of people don't understand the context of how that happened. And so if you hit a paywall, you're not gonna know that the state superintendent, who is extremely far right, to the point of obsession, right? That it was his dangerous rhetoric, like Trump, that led to these bomb threats at schools in Tulsa.
Wow. And this whole notion of critical race theory and that sort of thing being taught to kids, that's something that on the doctoral level, in terms of theory, that people encounter. They're not five-year-olds being taught critical race theory in elementary school. So let's just get that out there now and dispel that myth, all right? Awesome. So we applaud you for the work that you are indeed doing and admonish you to please continue. Access is the new civil rights. Wow, how amazing is that? Wow. So next to Nehemiah, we have Jordan. And would you tell us about your foundation? Tell us about you.
Well, my foundation, Living Live Foundation, we are in our first year. So we thank you. It's an arts and culture nonprofit for Black creators and just overall creatives of color. And I wanted to make sure that we dedicated in, our mission was for us, because for so often I'm a Black queer boy from Atlanta, and knowing other creatives of color and hearing the struggles and just hearing what people need, what they want, how the struggles that they're having in the field. I wanted to see exactly how we can combat that, and making sure that artists are prepared, especially children, young creatives. We wanted to make sure that they are exposed to the arts in a way that, like never before, like they would have never imagined, because we know how impactful exposure is on an earlier level for children.
Yes.
So we wanted to make sure that we are targeting and we are hitting those points, because it's great to see us in certain spaces that the masses might not have expected us to be in, because we know that we have the skill set and the gifts to do it. But it's all about providing those opportunities. So our duty is to make sure that we are bridging the gap, to provide those opportunities. If we can't bridge the gap, we're trying to fill it. Because if not us, then who? I'm doing my part, and my team is doing their part, and we're gonna make it happen. So that's Living Live.
Awesome. So now you said you're doing your part and your team.
Yes.
Who are you working with?
Well, I have a team. I have my board of directors. We are a young board, but we are a distinguished board of directors, covering all the art, all areas of the arts. I wanted to make sure we had someone from, theater, dance, writing, it just runs the gamut. I wanted to make sure all the bases were covered, so we can have somebody to speak to the things that we want to cater to.
Wow. So let me say this. I am super, super proud and amazed. Proud of you and your foundation for taking on this work at such a young age. Now, do you mind sharing how young you are?
27.
27 years old. Wow. So to be in that, living and operating in that place and space at 27 is absolutely amazing. And bringing others to that awareness the youth, because they are the future, they are tomorrow. And you're laying amazing framework and foundation. So kudos to you, my friend, for all the work that you are doing. So any projects that are currently on deck for your organization that you all are currently producing?
I'll say most recently right now, we have our youth program that we just announced our school partner. We're partnering with the Barack and Michelle Obama Academy. So we, right after Labor Day weekend, we start with the students on Tuesday. And this year we received a grant from the Whitney Houston Legacy Foundation for our youth program. So that's anybody who knows me knows that Whitney Houston is my favorite of all time. I never had the pleasure of meeting Whitney, but had I known she, lived in Alpharetta for so many years, I probably would have been on her doorstep. So things happen for a reason. But no, it was an enormous gift. I was, super blessed and just grateful that they saw something in what we were doing and just our mission, our vision for young creatives of color. And that they blessed us with that opportunity. So we are hitting the ground running. We're going to make sure that the kids have what they need. In the spring, we're going to be doing a collegiate career readiness program with Clark Atlanta, my alma mater. So we have some things lined up, and just having some things in mind for, of course, queer creatives, because we can't exclude the queer experience from the Black experience, or it's not a Black experience in its entirety. So we're making sure that we have us there as well, because it would be lost on me if I didn't do something and I am a queer creative. We are in our first year. We got things going.
Awesome.
We're on the move.
So how do we give to the foundation?
Well, you can go on Living Life Foundation. The grant money is great from the Whitney Houston Foundation and some other grants we've got, but of course, in-kind donations. So, yes, livinglifefoundation.org.
Awesome. And Nehemiah, can we also make contributions to the Black Wall Street Times?
Yeah, we have a donate button on our site that you can go to, and some people pay $5 a month, some people pay $100, and so it's not that much. So everybody, please go and donate. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so very much for sharing, and please exercise your right to dig deep into your pockets to donate to these most worthy causes. So next to me, my immediate left is Adam McMath, who is the president and executive director of the Black Alphabet. Now I know about the Arabic alphabet, the one we use every day, but I don't know about these Black alphabets. Can you tell me about this Black alphabet that you run?
Sure. So Black Alphabet, I believe, came from you, right? Yeah. So I think the co-founders of the organization, which Tim and Miss One, you'll probably hear about that later. Originally, we're trying to include a bunch of letters in the alphabet: LGBTQ, SGL, LMNOP, and they were like, you know what? F that. Black Alphabet is what we don't call it, and that's how it came to be.
Wow. So tell us, what do you all do specifically?
So we are an arts and cultural organization based in Chicago. We do some national work, included in Cincinnati, South Florida in October, and some international work that we'll talk about at some point, but we're doing some stuff in Africa in October as well, and I'm doing some stuff in London next year as well. So we started off as a film festival organization. 10 years ago, I was not part of the organization when it started. This brother saw something in me. I don't know what it was, but he was like, hey, you got a film? And I was like, yeah, I'm working on something. And I think sight unseen, he was like, okay, we're gonna show it at this film festival we're doing. And showed it, really got some great feedback from that first screening. And then the team at the time asked me to join the board, which I did. I really had no intention of sticking around for the last 10 years, but it kind of worked out that way, and now I'm the executive director and president. And we do more than just a film festival now. We just finished a retreat, a 5-day retreat with 20 young men in Chicago, powered by the Obama Foundation, and really pulled them out of their environment, gave them art therapy, 4 art therapy sessions, and really just a quiet and spiritual place to be themselves. And not surprisingly, that was a great experience for them and enough.
So educate us. What is art therapy?
Art therapy is, for me, and the reason why I brought the program in is it's a less intimidating form of therapy particularly for younger people. So they leverage art, painting, collaging, hip hop was one of the sessions, and they talk about issues that come up within that session in a group setting.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. So, and is this available to just individuals in the Chicago area at this particular point in time?
The art therapy sessions are available to people of all ages in the city of Chicago, and then in the suburbs of Chicago. So Cook County, if you all are familiar, is a major suburb in Chicago, for free. Young people are incentivized to come, so we don't want anything to be a barrier. Money, especially, to be a barrier. So we'll get you there. We'll pay for a train pass, and we will give you $25 for showing up.
Wow, that's amazing. So if you are in the Chicago area and in need of art therapy for the youth, please check out this foundation and utilize those amazing services. Wow. Thank you so very much for sharing. And so last but not least, the founder, organizer of Black Alphabet, co-founder of Black Alphabet, Tim M. West. How are you today, sir? And what have you been up to?
I was joking with someone on the side that I started an LLC last year, which is Too Many Things LLC. And people chuckle and they're like, well, I thought you were a rapper. I'm like, yeah, do that. I thought you were a professor. Yeah, do that too. So, but I think, the through line that all of us are talking about is just how creative spirit moves. And I think the genius of Black people and Black queer people in particular is that, I think you said this, John, I think we were planted on the earth to create and to heal. And I think when we can step into that, so I see a lot of the work I do as healing work. Sometimes it's a poem, sometimes it's a speech or a protest, but it's all healing work, and it's all rooted in, I've been thinking a lot about ancestors and my own lineage. And the first person to ever first person to see me and accept me was my grandmother. And I think I was 12, and she said, "You like boys?" And I said, "They cool." She said, "No, you like boys." And and I was sitting here like, she just called you. She spilled all my tea right in front of me. But I remember that conversation because I had an Uncle Jesse, who was her brother-in-law, and older Black people. And I grew up in Arkansas, and they have a way of saying gay without saying gay. So she was like, He was handsome, smart, a poet, unmarried. And so I kind of put the thing, and he educated all of the Black people in that small rural community. And so it was a way of helping me see that, I hate when people try to act like the queer stuff is new or the non-binary stuff is new. We have been here since the beginning of time, and sometimes we have to remind people of that and step into that greatness. I saw an interview recently on Native Son where this interviewer was asking James Baldwin, it must have been really difficult. You grew up Black and poor and a homosexual. He said, I felt like I hit the jackpot. And when I hear that quote, I was like, that's it. Like, we have to step into the reality that we, like, those identities have fueled us and make us stronger and greater.
Yes. Wow. Awesome. Awesome. So, as a collective here, individually and collectively, what more, or what do you plan on doing in order to bring more healing, to bring about more culture into not just an awareness, not just into the Black queer community, but just in the Black community in general? What more do you plan on doing, and what more can we do as individuals?
I was thinking about collaboration. Just hearing this young person talk about the program, I was like, I'm trying to do some stuff. I work full-time at the National Center for Civil and Human Rights. I'm executive director there of the LGBTQ Institute, and the kids are having a tough time right now. Hearing on the news and people calling gay folks demons and groomers, and I almost felt like 8 years ago it just wasn't as bad. And it's like the rhetoric has gotten so toxic. And so I'm like, well, we're trying to do some things. I'm like, we need to collaborate.
Yes.
Because I would love to work with you. So I think there's enough room for all of us, and sometimes people step into the idea that we have to be compatible. I'm like, no, how can I collaborate with the people that are in this space and in this room to really build on what we're trying to do?
Yes, absolutely. Anyone else want to add on to that? What can we do? What else can we do individually and collectively to bring about more awareness, more healing, more culture to not only the Black community, but the Black queer community as well?
Well, I'll say so one of the reasons why I started the Black Wall Street Times was because I wanted to see Black writers be employed and be paid with their work. And that's something that we've actually been able to do. I'm like, I can't believe that a Black me, right, pulled this off. And so the plan is to continue to scale the company, to continue to find corporate partners who are willing to advertise with us. Last week I was in Cincinnati, and we closed the deal with Procter & Gamble, which is like the biggest thing that's ever happened to us as a Black media company. And then the goal is just to continue to hire more Black writers so they can be able to tell their stories and be able to find other stories that need to be elevated and told.
And you all know that there used to be a time where to see representation in any form of media for Black queer people was non-existent. We salivated, for lack of a better term, when there was a story that we could identify with. And so now, to see how the tides have changed, but to also see how they're attempting to change it back, is something that we must continue to speak against and to fight against. Adam, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I would add that continue to resist. The reason why we're doing our film festival in Florida is because Florida is banning books. Florida's doing a lot of anti-LGBT stuff. And one of our major themes for the film festival this year is Uganda. We're dedicating an entire day to Uganda and what's going on in Uganda. But a lot of folks don't know that Uganda used to be Buganda, and they had a whole bisexual king. So it was not that way until the British Church.
Colonizers.
So that's a whole white construct. So educating folks on that is part of my personal mission. And just resist because these narratives are in a lot of ways white supremacist narratives and ideologies, and we need to make sure that young Black folks know that.
So wait a minute, you mean to tell me that this whole notion of being queer is found in African culture?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Really?
And they were leaders oftentimes. So Kabaka Mwanga in Uganda, and we had the Azandi warriors. We had a lot of folks that were openly living a life. They wouldn't even call it gay, but living a life
Right.
that folks don't know anything about.
Well, anybody else would add to that? Because I'm finding that fascinating.
I think a lot of people will find it fascinating because it's a part of the Black experience that people don't want you to know. But that's, I'll say, just with the foundation, that's one of our main points is the exposure piece of it, making sure people know exactly what they may not have known or might not have learned in school, or parents might not have taught them and stuff like that. So exposure is, a huge part of just our overall, our growth as a community, as a culture, and we have to, just do our part in, just making that known. I know for me, I'm a numbers person. I'm very strategic, so I always ask. I'm like, how can we help? What would you like to know? Stuff like that, in order to really help move the needle along. So it's just all about having a starting point, see where we can be of use, see what Black creators, where can we help out, stuff like that. So yeah, just
Awesome. Yeah, Tim, I'll give you the last word, and also tell us how we can get to your foundation.
Well, I want you to give them these people. Like, I'll be okay. I'm gonna get money from the white corporation. No, I'm we gotta be strategic, as you said, so, but if you do wanna buy a book or a t-shirt, that's great. I created this, and the word I was gonna say, I kept seeing these t-shirts with names on them, and none of them really reflected Black queer experience. So I wanted to create one with names of people that I grew up not hearing about. I read Baldwin, but if someone had told me that James Baldwin was a Black queer man, the agony and heartache that would have saved. If someone had told me that the person that was the architect of the March on Washington, Bayard Rustin, was gay. I mean, if someone had told me Audre Lorde. So I want young people, even if I'm passing them at the mall or whatever, to see this shirt. Like, maybe they don't know who it is, but they may go look up Baldwin or Rustin.
Yes.
And it also has this blank that's like, I am.
Yes.
You fill in the blank. You get to be that next person, because I believe it's all about creating the legacy.
Wow. Awesome. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for you. Wow. Adam McMath, wow. Nehemiah, Frank and Jordan live, as in I live.
Jordan live.
Live? I'm going to get it together one of these
We
days.
live for life.
Dreaming, all that's on my mind is, oh,